Hello, welcome to Kevlar's Quest, the Modern Life podcast. I'm Kevin Ejezi. Today's quest is the hidden transactions of love. The hidden transactions of love. Every relationship runs on value. If no value is exchanged, then no relationship exists. On the other hand, the moment value is exchanged, a relationship exists, even if you don't always see it that way. Now, saying that all relationships are transactional can make people uncomfortable. Some resist the idea because they lack awareness. Others resist because it doesn't match how they feel. They are in relationships that don't seem transactional at all. But just because they don't notice the transaction doesn't mean it isn't there. Think about it. In good relationships, the transactions is invisible. You don't notice it because things are working. It's only when the relationship becomes unsatisfying that the transaction shows itself. Here's an example. I pay my power company every month and they deliver electricity. I set up automatic payments so I don't even think about it. When I flip a switch, the lights come on. When they push a button, they get paid. Everything feels effortless. But when there's a power outage, suddenly I'm aware of the transaction. I'm paying for electricity and I'm not getting it. That's when frustration sets in. Relationships work the same way. When both people feel like they are getting a fair trade, attention, affection, intimacy, support, the transactional element fades into the background. You don't think about it, you just feel love. But when one person feels they are giving more than they are getting, the transaction becomes visible. Comments like, I'm doing more of the housework, or we don't have enough intimacy are really ways of saying I'm giving more value than I'm receiving. If relationships weren't transactional, this wouldn't matter. Love alone would carry things through. But that's not how it works. Our feelings are tied to the perception of fairness. When the balance feels off, dissatisfaction grows. What makes relationships tricky is that the goods being exchanged aren't simple or fixed. Unlike electricity for unlike electricity for money, relationships involve many things like time, effort, affection, intimacy, support, all of which change in value over time. And most of it isn't explicitly negotiated. That's why it feels so complex. Another challenge is how people count. Most of us overvalue what we give and undervalue what we get. That bias creates problems if relationships are transactional. So if you want longevity, it helps to consciously correct for this. Slightly undervalued what you give, slightly overvalue what you get, and don't measure too precisely. The closer you track every exchange, the more transactional the relationship will feel, and that awareness usually signals trouble. Couples who last tend to take a fuzzy view of the numbers. They allow for fluctuations. They don't keep score too tightly and they accept that sometimes one gives more, sometimes the other does. But even then, if one person consistently gives much more while other gives much less, resentment builds. That imbalance eventually shows itself. So here's the truth. Whether we like it or not, relationships are transactional. Our feelings are deeply tied to the perception of value. When the exchange feels fair, the transaction disappears into the background. When it doesn't, the transaction becomes painfully visible. The secret isn't to deny this reality, it's to manage it wisely with generosity, patience, and a willingness to see the bigger picture. Okay, that's our quest for today. Please subscribe, like, and share. Someone out there needs to hear this message, maybe someone like you. Let's spread strength and clarity to those navigating this journey. We'll talk more in future episodes. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for listening and take care.